Hello and welcome to the Collapse Experiment. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe. Hate reading from scripts. How did Biden not read from a teleprompter? Good Lord. So, how to know if you're in a toxic work environment. I have a fair amount of expertise in this, being the the recipient of said toxic workplace culture. I'll start with the hospital. So how do you know when you're in a toxic work environment? Well, for one, let's start out with the obvious. If the majority of your coworkers are women, and if you have a penis, a dick, like I do, right? And a pair of balls, you will be the topic of discussion. Now, how that discussion goes depends on your looks. Oh yes, there's a whole rabbit hole to go down there. But again, I'll go back to, if the majority of your coworkers are women, you are in a toxic work environment. Because all these women are going to do in the free time that they have, which they always claim to never have any free time, and yet gossip happens anyways. Oh my God, it's like, how am I supposed to, now she's asking me to pass her meds for her because she's behind on her charting? Like, what the hell has she been doing all day? The same thing you're doing now, gossiping. So yeah. What will end up happening, and you'll be able to pick out the ones who are really going to instigate a lot of this shit, because they're the ones that tend to be bored more often than the others. Management, supervisors, these people. I had one charge nurse that the majority of the rumors about me when I worked in a certain floor at the hospital came from her. There were some of the more amusing ones, like I was mentally retarded. Okay, not sure how that came about. But yeah, somehow that rumor was passed around, which is pretty interesting. I've never actually come across a person who was, and these were her terms, by the way, okay? YouTube, if you've got a problem with me saying this, I'm quoting the charge nurse of the GMU unit of Bronson Hospital, circa 2000, okay? I have nothing to do with the words that are coming out of her mouth. But no, this chick went around telling other people, I think he's mentally retarded. Now, whether or not she was using it as a technical term or just being an asshole, that's up to you. The other rumors that came up. Let's see here. Well, didn't get a raise for a few years, so money was kind of tight, and I lived a mile away from the hospital. So to think that riding a bike to work in order to save on, I don't know, gas and stress of trying to find a parking spot and consistently punching in like 30 seconds late because there's a fucking line at the time at the punch-in clock, because everybody's got to clock in at the same time. Heaven forbid you're at the end of that line. It's amazing how they write people up for the policies that they create. That's another thing. When they are so stringent with the rules that they create the ability for people to break them by following their policies. Toxic work environment. We're requiring you to park at the places that are the furthest away from a time clock. Oh, and by the way, we'll know that if you use a time clock from another facility, even though it technically clocks you in, but we know it takes you at least 10 minutes to actually get to your workspace after that. Shit you not. Oh, then you've got, what was some of the other ones? Oh, I must have a DUI. Yeah, that's the one that I was getting to. I think you got a DUI. Even if I did, and no, I've never had one, by the way. I'll fill everyone in on that. Never had a DUI. Yes, I live in northern Michigan, and yes, for some reason it appears that it's like some type of bridge to adulthood up here to have your first DUI before you're 21. I don't know. I keep hearing this. Like, nobody's surprised when somebody has one. They're more surprised when it's me. And they're like, you've never gotten pulled over for a DUI? No, I haven't. You've never been in a jail cell? I've cleaned them at a juvenile detention center, but no, I've never been the recipient of a jail cell. So that was another one. Well, he must have gotten a DUI if he's riding his bike or walking to work. There was a unit clerk that I worked with. Black girl. She was about my age. Really nice. She kind of saw a bunch of the other bullshit that I saw on the unit that we worked. So we started talking. And I knew her boyfriend and then eventually husband. I knew him because he worked as a floor tech in my department. So we all knew each other. And we started having lunch breaks together because she didn't want to deal with the bullshit from the nurses, and I didn't want to deal with the bullshit from the nurses. So that, of course, meant that we was having an affair. And when she got pregnant by her husband, yeah, when she started, she got pregnant with her first kid, and we were still having lunch together. I remember the charge nurse, not the charge nurse, the floor supervisor, the one I was talking about previously having issues of starting gossip. She comes into the break room, looks at us. You know, we stopped talking because heaven forbid we give her any type of fuel to work with on starting whatever bullshit she wanted to start. And she says, "This is highly inappropriate." And then turns around and walks out. And we just start laughing, looking at each other, laughing some more. And you know, when her baby was born, the look of shock on everybody's faces where we worked, because that baby was like Wesley Snipes black. Oh my God, like Eddie Murphy / Wesley Snipes black. Like, there is no like, this is half white, half black. No, this was like black on black, paint it black, Black Sabbath black, Glenn Danzig's t-shirt black. Oh yes. Like, all of a sudden those rumors were just like, somebody got it wrong again. Toxic work environment. Now, the second one I'll go into, I talked about it in a previous video, and it was the same bullshit, but this was like building wide, where from the moment I started working there, this was at a library, not the current one that I work at, a previous one, the rumors, good Lord. So around the corner from the library was a brewery that I went to frequently, off the clock, not before I went to work. But eventually it got to the point where the people at this brewery, including the owner himself, did not want to deal with the bathrooms, and they knew what I did for a living, where they were like, "Hey, can we hire you to clean our bathrooms on this day and this day before we open. Like before the weekend, right? So like a Friday, I'd go in like an hour or two before they were set to open for their busy weekend. And I would clean their bathrooms, and then I would go in on Monday and clean up whatever the happened over the weekend, which Monday was the worst. Now, how did they pay me? Punch cards, beer punch cards. Each card that I was handed was good for 12 beers. I don't drink that much beer. But I had a stack. I still have that stack of punch cards. I think they still owe me. The brewery does not exist anymore, by the way. I think I'm still owed something like 200 some odd beers. Kevin, Tibbs, if you're out there, send me a 6-pack. I don't even drink anymore. That's the funny part. So, anyways, I was getting these punch cards. Well, one of my coworkers at the library saw me leaving the brewery, which the library also had an agreement with for Books and Brews Month, some special thing where they collaborated with this brewery in particular. So they would go and they had that going on. I was seen leaving that place and going to my next place of employment. Well, then word got around about how I was drinking before I would come into work. Therefore, I was drunk on the job. Nobody smelled beer on my breath. No accidents happened at the workplace. There was no evidence of being intoxicated at the workplace. I was seen leaving a facility. I could have been buying a gift card for somebody else for all anybody knew. But no, I ended up having to confront some of the people I worked with saying like, hey, have you heard this rumor that blah, blah, blah? And my immediate supervisor, not the manager, got in my face and said, if I ever smell beer on your breath, we're going straight to the hospital and doing a blood draw. I just looked at him straight in the face and said, why don't we just go right now? And nothing ever happened. Never got any calls to HR or anything, but everybody was talking shit about how I was coming in drunk, that I was a drunkard, that I was an alcoholic. Why was I still working there? That was one of the first rumors. The other rumor that happened after that was, keep in mind, nobody ever came to me and asked me anything about the stuff they were hearing. So another one, my daughter, my oldest daughter, I'm laying on the couch. She's on the couch too, jumping around, hopping around as 2-year-olds do. And at one point, keep in mind, this child has never seen WWF or E or whatever wrestling thing is out there now. She's never seen any of this stuff. But she jumps up and she puts her arms up like this. And she just lands face first into my face, where her forehead hits me right here on the ridge of the eye socket. And I'm like, holy shit, what is this? And I get up and I can immediately feel the blood pooling under my eye. So of course, for the next week or so, I had a black eye. Nobody at work bothered to ask me about this black eye. Months later, somebody casually brings up about how, like, well, somebody was saying that, like, your wife was beating you. I kind of gave them this look like, why the fuck would they think that my wife is beating me? Well, you have that black eye. And I'm like, I just started laughing because, for one, I used to study martial arts. Who's to say I didn't start going to a dojo again? Not that anybody got to know me or anything. And that would have been considered toxic masculinity, and then probably would have had like another check on my do not keep this man employed here. He's a threat to everybody because he might know karate. Oh yes. The word was going around that my wife was beating me at home, that she's the one that gave me the black eye. I was like, my daughter did that to me. What? Like, how old? My 2-year-old did that to me. And I tell them the story, and they're just like, holy crap. So yeah, everybody at work seriously thought that my wife was beating the shit out of me at home, and I had all these domestic violent issues happening outside of work. Toxic work environment. Same bullshit, totally different place. If your coworkers have way too much time on their hands, if there's idle hand syndrome where you work, let's face it, it's a toxic work environment. These motherfuckers cannot stay busy. They can't keep their business to themselves. They won't work on their own damn issues. But no, they will talk shit about everybody else and make it an uncomfortable place to freaking work. Because that is what they're good at. It's not doing their goddamn jobs. That's why nothing functions properly in these places anymore. It's because they're bored. Can't ever say that they're bored, right? No, because they don't want to end up doing somebody else's work. Which, let's face it, the 8-hour workday, we need to get rid of that shit. It's bullshit. It doesn't apply to most people's jobs. Once somebody becomes efficient in the job that they're hired to do, and they do that job efficiently, fucking cut them off at 4 hours and send them home. But then I don't get my pay. How about we get paid for the work that we do and not the hours we put in? How about that? We'd like to hire you to do this certain thing. Well, I think I can do that job efficiently. Cool, let's do that. Then you get your same paycheck. Well, Bob's already done doing the accounting. What? Oh my God, I still have all this other paperwork to do. Maybe you should pull your thumb out of your ass and actually do your job instead of talking to Juanita over there at the other desk. Could probably solve a lot of the workplace bullshit. We hire you to do a certain job. If the workload goes beyond a certain point, we'll hire somebody else to take off that load. It's really how it should go. But no, they want you to be a slave to the hours, the time clock. And therefore, that creates toxic work environments. That's the only thing I like about my evening job right now is once we're done and we get to go home. I was there for a 5-hour shift a little over a week ago. Completely unheard of. Day after Martin Luther King Day, right? So I go there, end up working 5 hours in one night, which is equivalent to like 2 nights, by the way. And then the rest of the nights I'm done at like 2 hours, I'm done at 2.5 hours. 3 hours tends to be like a longer night, but 2.5 hours is about average for us to get our shit done. And then we go home. Do I lose an hour of pay? I'd rather be home. But you know what doesn't happen? It's people sitting around gossiping about other people, talking shit, starting feuds. Next thing you know, one driver's decking another driver because they heard so-and-so say that so-and-so said this. Cut the bullshit. Toxic work environments. Your employer created it. Will they stop it? No. What do? Find something else. It seems like the golden goose on YouTube these days is find a way to work for yourself so you can not deal with the bullshit anymore. I wholeheartedly agree with that. I wish I could find a way. I thought I did years ago. That didn't pan out. Did I stop trying? No. Should you stop trying? No. And if you really think of yourself not as an employee, but as an independent contractor at these places, it's the best mentality to have. Because then you're thinking for yourself and not for the company. And that's really what you should be considering anyways. Toxic work environment. Is it majority women? First question.